Yes. So an important announcement that there is another part of the course, right, which is about the Verilog coding. Okay, the Verilog coding. So what is a Verilog coding? Verilog is basically a coding language uh, which with which you write some code, and then you can um, actually download that code into a hardware which is an FPGA. You would come to know about this hardware probably later in other courses. This is field programmable gate array. So we are learning about gates. So what this hardware is basically, this is an array of gates. This is an array of gates, and as per your code, these gates get connected to each other internally. And you can also, like, when you install a new code, it will get reconnected according to the code. It will establish its connection. So what happens basically, the circuit you are trying to make gets made in the FPGA, and you can always make a new circuit. So the FPGA hardware is like, you can again dissolve the circuit and make a new circuit. So it is like that. But we need to also learn the coding first. The coding part is the first thing that you should learn. So there are basically two languages. One is Verilog, another is VHDL. I don't remember the I think VHDL is something hardware definition language, and another is the Verilog. So Sumati madam will take you through the Verilog coding, and she will start from 17th November, if I remember correctly. I think your class is, no, sorry, 12th November she will start with. So she will take 8 classes: 12, 13, 17, 19, 20, 24, 26, 27. These 8 lectures she will take, and she will take during the live session only. So during this lecture hour 10 to 11. So during 10 to 11 she will come from 12th November till 27th November. I think 27th November is the last date of your semester here. So these last 8 lectures she is going to take. Please communicate this to your entire class in other groups, what you manage between yourself. Communicate this to the class that the last 8 lectures 10 to 11 will be taken by Professor Sumathi, and that includes the Friday lecture also. Okay. So please
Okay,
communicate
sir.
that to the class. So
Okay.
if they are not coming during the class, they might be missing it. However, I think madam will also record during the session and send it later on. But it will happen in live session. It will not be like pre-recorded videos being sent, which is what I am doing. He will do it in live session. So that is so what you will learn basically there, you will learn how to code a circuit. That is what you will learn. Now what I am teaching is how when given a problem, you are able to construct the circuit, right? You write the make the Boolean expression, and from that you are able to make the logic circuit, combinational circuit. So this is what she will teach you through coding, how to do this thing through coding. And the next part of the course which I am going to cover, which I am going to start, so I will send the video lectures. They are already recorded. I will send it across this week only. We will start with the sequential circuit designs, where we will be using we will be having the memory component coming into the picture. So in combination circuit design, I mentioned that it doesn't have any memory, but we did not really understand what we mean by that memory thing. So when I introduce this memory here, you will come to realize that how it is different from the combination circuits, and this part of the lecture will carry on with the memory elements. Of course, the knowledge that we have already gathered how to design combination circuits, that will also be utilized. So the K-maps and all, how to form Boolean expressions, this knowledge is required. This will stay there. We will add on some new topics and new things, and that will make the whole of it. Okay. So as you can understand that 12th is not far away. So this week, the next week, and in the third week, we are from the Thursday, you are starting with the Verilog coding and all. So I will be sending you a bit more videos in 1 week, like 3 or 4 videos probably, so that I cover up in the third week itself. So I will end during the week of during the second week of November, which is like that week which starts with 9th. The Monday is 9th November. So that week I will end with the course. Okay, I will end with the course. So before that you will get some chance to interact with me, but after that you will not get a chance to interact with me in the live sessions. But if you have any doubts, we will still have 2 weeks remaining in the course. If you will have any doubts, then I will be able to arrange some time in some, like not during the regular working period, but probably in Saturday or something like that, or maybe after the class hours are over, after 6 or something like that, I can come and I can clear the doubts. And of course, you can keep writing to me personally, I can also clear the doubts. So I will try to finish this the course by next 3 weeks. So this week, the next week, and the next week. So the third week, all the materials that I need to deliver to you will be delivered. Okay. And the assignments will be like what I take. For my part, it will be the same. For ma'am's part, I am not sure how she is going to take any assignment, whether she is going to take assignment or not. That is also I don't know. She will clarify it in her first day of lecture probably. Okay. So that is her business, how she is going to evaluate you on her part. Whether she has any plan or not, that also I don't know very well. Okay. So that is all from my side. What I needed to tell you about the course thing. If there is any doubts on any of the topics that we have covered so far, this is the chance to clarify them, because we will be moving on to something new, something different. So I hope that all of you have gone through all the course materials that have been supplied so far, and is not waiting for starting with the assignments. And when you start with the assignments, you are looking at the videos. Mostly we are doing like that, but probably you have gone through the videos once at least. And if there are any doubts, you please ask them right now. I had received some doubts and I have clarified them also, but in general, if there is any doubts, personally I have resolved. But if you want to bring it in on the platform, then you are welcome to do it right now. Hmm. Okay, think some messages are coming. Okay, one question has been said. mm, we You have three Boolean variables ABC. Which of the below terms is a normal term? This is in from the quiz. So I think the quiz is still pending, right, to be submitted, or this is already submitted. Minimization of expressions. Is this already sent back? Oh yeah, it is sent back, right? That's why you can see which is correct and which is not. So yes, so the question is, you have three Boolean variables ABC. Which of the below terms is a normal term? So except the last one, which is A or B dot C dashed. So this is not a normal term, because a normal term has to be either a product term or a sum term, and in this both are combined together. So that is why it is not a normal term, it becomes an expression actually. So the others are normal terms because it is either a sum term or a product term. So that's why they are normal term. This is not a normal term. Okay. So I hope that clarifies your doubt. Okay. Okay. Some other question. Please explain Boolean expressions with binary encoder, the full adder thing used for minterms. Okay, I guess I had explained quite well, but if you are asking here again, I will explain once more. So, where did the thing? Okay, so what happens here with decoders? So let me share the screen. So I don't quite remember what was the expression of the uh, half adder or full adder. What did you want? Full adder. Full adder. Okay. So in the full adder, you are having three bits to be added: A, B, and C in, and output you are having the sum and the carry out. So these are the combinations. So I guess C in was put before AB probably. Okay, so what is the sum? The sum is 0 carries 0 here. If I do some mistake, please point it out to me. Hopefully this is correct. So now what is your sum expression? Your sum is basically summation Seen A, B. What are the values of the mean terms? What are the mean terms of sum? This is the first mean term is 0. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4, 7. 1, 2, 4, 7. And about the C out, it is sum of 3, 5, 6, 7. So this is all you need to understand. So whenever you have a truth table, this is for the full adder. You can have any other example. So you will able to form the truth table. That is the thing that you need to do yourself. Okay. By understanding the problem, you have to form the truth table. Now once you form the truth table, you can easily collect which mean terms are high. Okay. Which mean terms are high, you can easily see, and you just collect those mean terms. Now about implementation in decoder, what is happening? I am showing a 3x8 decoder only. So you will have 3 inputs, which are you are plugging in C in here, A here, B here. Supposing I am having x2, x1, x0. These are the inputs, and the outputs I am having here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Y0, Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4, 5, 6, 7. So now it is very simple now. You just see what is the sum, which are the numbers. You just take those pins out and connect them to a OR gate, and you will get the sum. Which are the pins to be taken out? 1, 2, 4 and 7. And for the C out, which are the pins to be taken out? 3, 5, 6, 7. Please be tidy. I am not being able to be tidy here a bit. Here some problem has happened. So always use a pencil, okay, to draw these things, because in a pencil you are having the flexibility to erase if there is any issue. Okay, so this becomes your C out. So that is all. That is all in the decoder. So you just simply need to note which mean terms are high and take those mean terms out and put them in an OR gate. That's all. Okay, I hope this clarifies your doubt, and for everyone also. Why this works and all this I will not go through right now, probably, because that was not the question also. So I hope you understand why this is working, and you go back to the video and play it again, and if there is still more doubt, then I can address them. Anything else? Let me check. Okay. So suppose there is nothing else here. Saksham Singhal, you have raised your hand. Yes, Saksham. Please unmute yourself and speak.
So is my voice audible?
Yeah.
So in Coin-McCluskey method, when we evaluate POS.
Hmm.
So there we first we have to calculate when we get zero basically.
Hmm.
So in Coin McCluskey, when we plot all the like we group all the columns according to them, and we finally get the expression from that, we
Hmm.
can further simplify it. So why McCluskey method is not giving the reduced expression itself?
Uh, which example have you noted this? You are further able to reduce it.
Sir, like in tutorial questions, yeah, one of the question it was there. I'll send you the solution.
Have you checked whether you have done correctly or whether all combinations you have taken or not?
Yes, sir. It's been matching from everyone's like what everyone was getting. I was also getting the same expression, but it can
Hmm.
further be reduced.
Okay. Okay. Which one? I will try myself maybe,
Sir,
and then
I
I
don't
will be able
exactly
to.
remember the part. I'll send you because I thought it's something there is in logic.
Hmm.
I will
Okay.
send you the that part.
Yes. Then I can see that. Okay. That will be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You can lower your hand. Anyone else? No other question. Nothing. Okay. So let me go into some other discussion. So I hope that some of you are trying to have a better control on your breathing, making it slower and all. So probably you have started abdominal breathing also. That is something that all of you should do. The abdominal breathing, whether or not you want to make it slower or not, that is a different, the next level thing. But the first level should be you try to make it abdominal breathing. Don't breathe through chest. Whenever you are breathing, you should experience movement only in your belly, nowhere else. The belly should come out and come inside. Okay. Saksam, you can lower your hand. Okay.
Sir,
So,
I had already.
yeah, okay. So, mute yourself. Yeah. Okay. So that I hope that all of you have started to practice. That is really beneficial. A lot many, like your health will stabilize a lot. I can assure you that when you start uh, abdominal breathing, a lot of this very petty issues that keep on happening to us health wise, those things will stop happening very within 2 or 3 months of practicing belly breathing. And if you um, start to take that initiative to try to make your breath slower, then a lot more health benefits you will observe yourself. So you can observe this in you. So I hope that many of you have started doing it. Uh, and there is another thing actually I wanted to talk about, because one of the student asked me to talk on something very extraordinary, and I am not an expert in that. So, but still I would like to talk about it because it was being asked. So the question was on sleep and dreams. Okay, so sleep and dreams. So now that is all that was asked. So please tell us something about sleep and dreams. Now, what I should tell about sleep and dreams, I don't know. What exactly, what exactly the student wanted to know, that also was not given there. Okay, whether um, if I am supposed to talk about sleep dream analysis and all, then I don't know about dream analysis. There are psychological experts who analyze dreams and interpret your subconscious nature, those things from dreams. So probably there is one can read books are there on dream analysis and all. And the sleep phenomenon happens, that is a very natural phenomenon. Every one of us sleeping almost around 7 hours on an average every night. We have to sleep, so around 5 to 8 hours normally. They are saying that depending on person to person, some people can require less sleep, some people can require more sleep, so it depends on that. But 5 to 8 hours is a general sleep duration that everyone undertakes. Now what happens during sleep is, one part of it is dreams. What happens during sleep? We dream, but there is also another part in which we don't dream, and that part is basically, it's almost like a part of our life which we don't have any account of. Isn't it like that? So if you look at dreams and try to understand look at sleep and try to understand what happens during sleep, that reveals a lot of information about our own selves, which probably we have not thought about. And I will try to talk about that, because that is what I have come to know. I don't know about dream analysis, but the phenomenon of dream reveals a lot about ourselves, and this is common to all of us, whether we are uh, dreaming of a beach side um, or a monster, whatever. So the what is common to all of us is that we are dreaming, and what is happening in the dream, what exactly is happening to us in the dream, that is important and that is common to all of us. So let me talk about that. So if you observe what is happening in dream, you will be uh, fascinated to understand that during your dream you are able to sense and feel the world around you in which you are during dreaming. During your dream you are situated somewhere in a world, right? You are navigating in that world, and that navigation is same as the navigation that you do while you are awake. What I mean to say, that whenever we navigate with the outside world, we are sensing the outside world, right? Through our senses. Through our senses we are sensing the outside world, and those senses are still activated while we are dreaming. While we are dreaming, those senses are still activated. Now I have used one word less when I am when I stated this thing, that we are utilizing our senses to observe the external world. I have used one word less, and that one word is organs. Normally we say we are using our sense organs to observe the external world, but I am saying we are using our senses to observe the external world. What is the difference here? The difference I am trying to make is that sense organs and senses are not the same thing. Sense organs are very physical in nature. They are situated in the body, in the physical body that we are looking at right now. What they give us are the senses. They are a bit abstract in nature, because you cannot really show me what your sense is. You can show me your sense organ. I can easily identify that this is your ear, this is your nose, this is your eye, the entire skin I am able to see. Okay, so you can show me the sense organs, but what sense you are actually taking from those sense organs, utilizing those sense organs, you cannot really express that. That is your own personal experience. What I am saying that during dream, we very clearly know that our sense organs are not working. However, our senses are still working. Please understand this. Normally, we associate our senses with the sense organs. But during dreaming, of course, our sense organs are not working because we have closed our eyes, our ears are not able to hear any sound from this world that our body is situated in. Our skin is on the bed, so there is a pressure from there, but we are not realizing that pressure we are not realizing. We our whatever in dream we are in that world, from that world we are taking senses. It is a very surprising phenomenon that we are still able to experience even without the sense organs being activated. This should lead you to understand that there is that you basically you are sensing, right? You are dreaming, so there is a sense of you, there is a sense of I when I am dreaming. I have a sense of myself when I am dreaming. That same sense of myself is still there when I am awake. It does not change. It is not a different sense of myself. It is the same sense of myself when I am dreaming and when I am awake. So the sense of myself or the experience of myself is not solely dependent on the body that we see. This is the important understanding from dreams that we must realize. The sense of myself, that when I say I, when I say refer to me, that there is a sense of that is not dependent on the body that we live in. We must start thinking in this way, that this is a body in which I live in. Sometimes I use that body to experience, sometimes I don't use that body to experience, and this is happening to all of us. Most of the time we are using the body to experience. That's why we are somewhat, it is like what you do continuously, it becomes a habit sort of a thing. So habitually you tend to believe that you are this body, but that is not true. You as an experience, your experience is not dependent on the body, because you can experience even when the body is sleeping, when the body's organs are not activated, when the sense organs are not activated, even then you are able to sense. But most of the time, it is true, we are doing the experience when the sense organs are active. But that doesn't mean that we can only experience when the sense organs are active. We can even experience when the sense organs are not active. This is the most important understanding that we should gather from dreams, as per my own thinking goes. This actually will help you to understand one more thing, which is a very well-known, well-known, what should I say? Well-known Theory, I can say theory, but it is also called truth in spirituality. In spirituality, it is said that this is not the only body that we are having. This is only the physical body that we are having. There are other bodies also. And when you are dreaming, you are utilizing another body. It is not the physical body. That is also a body through which you are able to experience. And that is a more abstract body. It is not so physical in nature. So there are different other bodies also. But with the phenomenon of dreams, you are able to, if you look at it closely, you are able to at least differentiate between your physical body and the other body that you are utilizing while dreaming, because that experience is real to you. So you are actually experiencing, you are actually feeling, the senses are still active in that body. So the sense organs are in a particular body, but the senses are in some other body. And these two are closely linked together when you are awake. But when you are sleeping, your physical body is inactive, but this other body, which is having the senses, that is still active during dreaming state. But then there is another state in which you exist, which is beyond dreaming. We all pass through that state also, which we don't remember anything, we don't have any account of. In that particular state, can I say that you have stopped existing? I cannot say you have stopped existing, because you come back after a while and say, here I am awake now. So that I is there again. So you have not stopped existing, but you have stopped sensing anything. So that body which is carrying the senses, that has stopped working when you are in deep sleep, when you are not dreaming. That body which is carrying the senses, that has your experience has gone beyond that body. So you are not sensing anything, but you are still existing. That is what has to be understood. In that mode of existence, perhaps there is no sensory experience. Perhaps, of course there are no sensory experience. But if you have such a deep sleep and you come awake, you will have a very fresh and very alive feeling, which you normally don't get while you are awake. No time when you are awake you will get that sort of a freshness and aliveness which you will get after having a deep sleep. This is a observed phenomenon. I am not sure whether you have experienced deep sleep. Maybe once or twice in your life you may have. Normally, the way we are living, deep sleep is not a very common phenomenon anymore. But whenever we are having deep sleep, we would experience this freshness and aliveness when you come awake. That means we can say, so it is an extrapolation, you can say. So the spiritual theorists will say that when you are in deep sleep, your sensory experiences are not working, but you are still experiencing this particular aliveness and freshness that is continuing to be experienced when you come awake for a certain period of time after you come awake. You are not able to sense this through your sense organs. This is a very internal feeling It is a very internal experience where the senses have stopped working. And when the senses have stopped working, then actually there is no external perturbation in you. This is what they are saying. The senses, what we get, are all external observations, and we are trying to sense the external world. So what is external to us is affecting us. You can say in that way. What is external to us is putting its impression on us through the sense organs when you are awake, through the senses when you are dreaming. So I can say it in another way. So the external world is putting its impression on us through our physical body when you are awake, through our sensory body. I use quoted terms here. Sensory body when we are when we are dreaming. So those impressions are happening on what I call myself, that sense of me that is carrying those impressions, that on that sense of me these impressions are being uh, these observations are being impressed. When I become free of these impressions, when I become free of these impressions, that is happening during deep sleep, then what you are is actually the pure you. That is what spirituality is saying. Vedanta is saying this. Vedanta is a branch of spiritual theory in India. So during deep sleep, that time you are the pure you without any impressions from external agencies. And that pure you is always blissful and fresh and alive. And that sense of life is there. That is what they are saying. The Vedanta philosophy is saying. So this is the dream interpretation through Vedanta philosophy. The Vedanta is not interpreting dreams in that way. Are you having nightmares or are you having sweet dreams? They are looking at dreams objectively in the way that what is happening to everyone, trying to find the common thing. When you are trying to find the common thing out, you have understood so far probably that when you are trying to extract a common thing, then you are extracting knowledge actually from various informations lying around. What is common to them? If you are able to extract that, that common thing is actually a knowledge, because that is applicable to everything or everyone around us. So this is about dreams and sleep. As far as I am having right now, I don't have, well, I am not having any other thing to say on this. Probably maybe 1 hour later I will, something will strike me, and then I will say, okay, I could have told this also. But right now nothing else is coming to me. So whatever came through me, I have told you about dreams and sleep. Probably the takeaway should be, if you really want to have a takeaway, you should start thinking on this, sit down and think about it, that basically you are not utilizing your physical body to sense the external world when you are dreaming. So that puts a demarcation between what is you and what is your physical body. Again, you can do the same demarcation when you are objectively looking at the phenomenon of deep sleep, that your sensory body is not you. You are something beyond that, something more than that. And then you can realize that all these bodies are What they are doing? They are doing nothing. They are capturing the external world and putting its impression on you. It is like a lens, you can say. The bodies are like a lens which takes in the outside light and puts it in you. So you are able to see the outside world or observe the outside world. When that lens is not there, or that lens becomes inactivated, then what you are is the pure you. That is what the Vedanta philosophy is saying. So I think with this I can end it, and if you have further continuing questions on this or any other question, if you request, I will speak on that uh, in next lectures. Okay, then thank you for your attention, and so let me close the session now. Thank you.